And the next commencement matter is in the name of Senator Joe O'Reilly, the need for the Minister of of Housing, Local Government and Heritage to consider an extension to the pheasant shooting season until February 2021. Senator Joe O'Reilly.
Thank you very much, could I first of all thank the Cathaoirleach for selecting this important matter for rural Ireland, and could I secondly welcome Minister Noonan to the House. We shared a virtual platform. We attended a similar virtual event recently. The circumstances were difficult on the evening in question, but we got through it. The COVID-19 virus and the various regulations contained in the plan for living with COVID-19 have created truly exceptional and unprecedented circumstances for all of us and prompted government interventions in many aspects of Irish society in order to mitigate the negative impacts of COVID-19. I want to talk to you about one such instance today. You may be aware that the recent decision to move to level 5 of the plan for living with COVID-19 has had the effect of prohibiting the shooting of game birds, even if the participant is hunting alone and within 5 kilometres of their home. Sunday the 1st of November marked the beginning of the game shooting season, the biggest day in the calendar for many rural people. However, the shooting sports community stayed at home and have played their part in supporting the national effort to combat the deadly threat to our communities, which is COVID-19. Country Sports Ireland, a leading representative body for shooting sports, is now calling for an extension season for pheasant shooting in February 2021 to compensate for time lost during November 2020, and I want to speak in support of this call. Every year, around 2,000 gun clubs and organised game shoots comprising of around 50,000 members spend millions of euros rearing, releasing and caring for game birds, of which the great majority are pheasants. They also control pest and predator species for farmers and other land managers, provide supplementary feeding for wildlife, plant woodlands and cover crops and sympathetically manage habitat such as upland areas or wetlands, all of which is extremely important conservation work at no cost to the state. The health benefits of outdoor recreation such as shooting sports are well documented, and I believe it is imperative that we do everything we can to enable citizens to participate in such activities during what are challenging times for everyone in our rural communities. The recent move to level 5 of the plan for living with COVID-19 resulted in the prohibition of the shooting of pheasants until at least the 2nd of December 2020. It is also possible that there could be further restrictions on shooting before the end of the season, 1st of January 2021. Therefore, a significant proportion of the shooting season for pheasants will be lost, and this unexpected and unprecedented occurrence may lead to an overabundance of adult pheasants post-season. This may have an adverse effect on the welfare of pheasants and possibly other species in terms of availability of food sources in spring 2021. The number of pheasants released would in any other year be perfectly sustainable, but the unforeseen circumstances caused by COVID-19, and in particular the provision of level 5 of the Living with COVID-19 plan, has created an exceptional situation which must be addressed. Under the Wildlife Act 1976, the Minister for Housing, Local Government and Heritage is empowered to grant licences which permit the hunting of pen-reared pheasants during the month of February. This is principally because pheasants are not an indigenous species, so not a conservation concern. The numbers are boosted each year by release programmes, and in any case, I am advised that they breed much later in the year April-May. In conclusion, I therefore believe that all those clubs and organised game shoots who release pheasants during 2020 should be granted a licence to shoot until the end of February 21 for environmental balancing purposes. It is with this in mind that I will be asking the Minister for Housing and Local Government to indicate that he will favourably consider licensing the hunting of pen-rare pheasants until the end of February 2021 under the provisions of the Wildlife Act 1976, provided of course that we are not under level 5 restrictions at that time. This extension already has a standing in law and would be a cost-effective and direct approach to resolve a potentially significant conservation issue. I look forward to the Minister's response, and thank you.
Thank you, Senator O'Reilly. I now call on the Minister.
And I want to thank Senator O'Reilly for raising this matter. Yes, I recall the virtual platform we shared together. We were with our sister city in Formigine in Italy. It was a very enjoyable experience, I have to say. It was a really, really good ceremony. Clearly, the matter raised by the Senator must be considered in the context of Ireland's approach to dealing with the coronavirus pandemic, and in particular the level 5 restrictions currently in place. Government has spelled out specific areas where certain activities may continue during the level 5 phase. The government approach is that people should stay at home as much as possible, except in exceptional circumstances. I think we can say at this stage that the strategy under level 5 restrictions is beginning to have the desired effect, with a reduction in the number of COVID-19 cases in the past week. This is a really good downward trajectory and a stabilisation of ICU admissions. And we are, of course, deeply indebted to our frontline workers and mindful of families who have lost loved ones due to COVID-19. The current restrictions have impacted on all of us in one way or another. The restrictions have had the necessity to impact on a range of sporting activities, and this includes a number of outdoor activities such as hunting, whether it be shooting pheasant, duck, deer or other species. While my department has a role in conservation of protected species, the department does not have a function in granting exemptions from compliance with public health regulations made in the context of COVID-19. Such exemptions are, of course, made on public health grounds. On the issue of pheasants, the hunting season for pheasants is regulated by legislation known as the Open Seasons Order, a statutory instrument made under the Wildlife Acts. Under this order, the hunting of pheasants extends from the 1st of November 2020 to the 31st of January 2021. There is no requirement for a licence from my department to hunt pheasants, except in the cases of pen-reared pheasants. Of course, all hunters do need a current firearms certificate issued by An Garda Síochána for any hunting activity. I am aware that An Garda Síochána recently issued a statement indicating that pheasant shooting is not permissible under level 5 restrictions. The National Parks and Wildlife section of my department has also issued a statement indicating that licences issued by the MPWS do not in any way confer exemptions in respect of compliance with public health guidelines. I am conscious that most individuals who hunt pheasant do so for recreational purposes, and that point was well outlined by Senator O'Reilly. It would be my hope, as indeed it will be the hope of most of us, that the success of the current level 5 restrictions in reducing the level of COVID-19 cases will continue and will allow the government to ease the restrictions next month. This may well see a return of pheasant shooting, but clearly this will depend on the success achieved and the advice available to government later during this current phase. While I have no current plans to extend the hunting season for pheasant to the end of February 2021, I have listened carefully to the Senator, and like others, I am awaiting the outcome of the current level 5 restrictions in that context, and I will keep the matter of pheasant hunting season under review.
Thank you, Minister Noonan. I now call on Senator O'Reilly. You have a minute to respond.
Thank you, Minister, and thank you for your response. I join with you in acknowledging the success and the sacrifice of people to achieve the success with coronavirus, and that's to be admirable. And among that cohort of people engaged in achieving that success are, of course, the people who do the shooting in question and who do the country sports that I've set out. I again have made the point originally that if a level 5 were to pertain at the time, it's a very different context. But I do welcome the fact you will keep the situation under review, and my appeal to you, Minister, would be to look at the fact that we'll have an overabundance of pheasants with balance issues subsequently, and with or bird welfare issues and with habitat issues in a post if we don't have this intervention in February, to look at the fact the breeding season is much later, and to look at the fact that around about 50,000 of our citizens have had their activity curtailed and have acquiesced very patriotically in it. So I appeal to the Minister to, as he says, keep it under review, and I hope at the time he will be able to grant an extension. Thank you.
Thank you, Senator Riley. Minister.
Again, Senator, I take on board the points that you're saying, and certainly, I agree with you that many people have had, throughout this year, had a really terrible experience, life experiences robbed from them, family events, family occasions, all been denied those to people. So our memories of this year will be very painful ones collectively for the nation and globally. So I think that's important to acknowledge that. And we are still unsure of the trajectory of this pandemic. We could certainly ease restrictions in December and end up in a very challenging situation again. The announcement of a possible vaccine may not really have an impact till towards the end of next year. So I think it's really important to keep a very open mind as to where we're going with this. And I think while government is moving from level 5 restrictions, the current level 5 restrictions, hopefully in December, I think we have to keep an open view as to these and be mindful that these are public health guidelines primarily. And I think they've served us well, and I think it's important that we continue to follow those, and within that I will certainly keep a monitoring of the situation.
Thank you, Minister. Thank you.